He waited a while, then came into the room and said,
"Why so quick to run? I'm just talking."
He moved closer. Petrified, I pulled away, my voice trembling. And noticing that I was about to run out of the room, he grabbed me by my arm. While I struggled to free my arms from his strong iron-like grip, I told him in a soft, shaky voice, "Leave me alone, please." But he would draw closer. I noticed that my resistance made his face harden at once, but I paid no mind. Before releasing my hands from his strong grip, he retorted,
"Adolisa, is this how you're going to be disrespecting me?"
And I said, "No, sir. I just want to go outside. Let go of me or I will scream." Once he let me loose, I hurried off and out of the room. But my fears now worsened. Now, not only did I have to worry about being hurt, but the anger on his face was something new that I would have to deal with unless I gave in. Every night, in my small diary, hidden under my pillow, I wrote everything I couldn't say out loud. Each time I felt unsafe, I poured the words onto paper, the fears, the confusion, the guilt of wondering if it was somehow my fault. Weeks went by, and the pressure grew heavier. I started staying late at school, volunteering for chores in neighbors' homes, anything to avoid being left alone with him. The most disturbing part was that my mother did not even notice that I was dying slowly inside. But how could she notice when she was always at her workplace attending to her patients? Besides, attempting to tell her anything was pointless because she was so blinded by her undying love for the one man who was a loving father in her presence but was gradually turning into a monster in her absence. At 13, I was supposed to worry about school, friends, and dreams for the future, not fear inside my own home. When my mother remarried, I thought life might get better once again. But I was daydreaming. One evening, my mother told me she and my stepfather were going to church for a program and would not be back until midnight. You could see the relief that came from that news on my face and body, as I thought, "Oh, finally, I can have one night without the horror," which of course would be gone by morning. But I was wrong. Granted, my mom left for the church with my stepdad, who looked like an unwilling beast that was dragged to the grazing field. I jumped and danced happily as the sight of both of them began to fade into the streets. But my moment of happiness, like mom's love and satisfaction, was short-lived, because in about an hour after they had departed, the doorbell rang. And guess who it was?
Adolisa.
The monster was back under the false pretense that he had a runny stomach. Once again, my heart jumped into my mouth as he thundered, "Adolisa, Adolisa. Open up, quick." Then I answered, "Push harder. The door is unlocked." Until this day, the events of that evening is etched in my memory like a scar. I had just turned 14 at the time, sitting on the living room couch with a book in my lap when he came in. His footsteps were heavier than usual, his presence filling the room in a way that made my chest tighten. At first, I thought it was just another lecture or one of his sudden bursts of authority, since he had resorted to being harsh with me and complaining of even my best behavior and deeds following my refusal to give in. But then the look in his eyes changed. I could sense something darker. Something I couldn't mistake. He sat too close, his hand hovering where it shouldn't have been. My heart raced. For a moment, I froze, paralyzed between fear and disbelief. Then instinct took over. I shoved his arm away and bolted from the couch, my book falling to the floor with a thud that echoed in the silence. Each time he tried to put his hands on me, I would shrink back and say no. My young voice trembling, but firm. I wanted him to stop, to act like a father, not a stranger. But he didn't stop. His frustration grew. When I refused, he would lash out, first with harsh words, then with his hands. The bruises multiplied, but I stayed silent, afraid that no one would believe my story. The nights that followed became the hardest. In one of those nights, I locked the door to my room, pressed a chair against it, and prayed my mother would notice that something was wrong. My prayers were never answered because my mom was a better nurse to her patients than she was to her only teenage daughter. And since he kept threatening that any attempts by me to disclose my ordeal to my mom or anyone would earn me instant and brutal consequences, I had learned how to hide pain with a smile and fear with silence.